are so many people who don't know the story, even though it happened so close to us, just a couple of miles away. This was not a story that I knew about, even though I've lived in this part of New Jersey my whole life. So it was interesting to learn that part of history. So I want them to take that away, but I want them to be wowed by the performances, by the students on stage, because the process of working on a show that's this dramatic and this emotional is very challenging. And the cast is doing a great job of diving in and really trying to make it the best that it can be, and taking big risks by exposing their own emotions and their own feelings and how it connects to them. And I want the audience to understand that, to understand the process, what it takes, and the courage that the actors have to get up on stage and share this story.
Getting into character, because I have to play a couple of different people, and it's definitely a big switch between them, and just how it's about all these teenagers, people who you usually don't have a lot of power. And I mean, you can still relate to the young girls. They're still teenage girls, and teenage girls always have the same ambitions until something like this happens. Basically, you can relate to the characters.
In the blackout, at the top of the act, this is where you come to. All right? Beautiful. Okay? So I'll just call lights up and start the scene. Yes? All right? Here we go. Are you ready?
Even though the events occurred 100 years ago, the themes of standing up for yourself and fighting for what's right still last to today, and probably will be a lasting message for a long time.
Of a dozen employees and cast it off as the whole thing. Doesn't look so bad by itself, but in context, it's a somewhat different picture.
We can use this.
Yes, this should impress the judge.
The judge, Miss Wiley? I'm not going to wait.
Well, it's very eerie, the whole play, and it just kind of puts into perspective the fact that these girls who weren't really, their names weren't really written down, like Grace Fryer, Irene Rudolph, Catherine, their names were probably hard to find for this playwright. So the fact that being in the ensemble, that there are girls who were affected by this horrible disease, but they were really just names and numbers of people on paper, but they were real and they were suffering. And that's just, it's really important that we portray that they weren't just minorities in society, that it mattered that they were the ones who were being hurt and affected by this. And I think that's really what the whole play is about.
I know if I don't smile, I'll go crazy. Tell us, Miss Fryer, how does it feel knowing you have so little time left?
I try not to think about it.
And to remember that these people were good people with good intentions, but their actions didn't follow through with that because they were unaware.
We've done before the tone that this play has, and it's very it's dark and it's very serious, and you can't like goof around with this. And I have a very, I'm impressed with the actors, because I could not like have my emotions come through and show how they show their emotions, and they have to think of how they would react in that situation, and it's just really difficult, and I wouldn't be able to do that, but it makes the audience feel more at the end of it.
I've worked up a statement for the paper. Company chemist for 8 years, always in poor health, recently in decline.
But Dan was never sickly. He was always on the golf course or sailing or their garden. Artie, he had the most beautiful garden.
Let's take care of this in the morning. Charlie?
Of course. Sorry to bring the bad news. Miss Rita, good night.
Good night.